Okay, hello, hey YouTube, hey Facebook. It is Chantrelle Lashae here with the Chantrelle Club, and we are reading Think and Grow Rich. Can you see that? It's a little blurry. We will be reading chapter 7, which is organized planning, one of the longest chapters in the book. So I will be splitting it up. We'll do half today and half next week. So we'll be on chapter 7 for 2 weeks, which is good because it's one of the most important. Every chapter I say it's the most important chapter. But if you're doing all the instructions each chapter, then it is the most important chapter at that point. And it's kind of funny because the first time when I was reading it by myself, I was just reading it. But now that I'm actually reading it in a book club, I'm following along, and everything is happening as I'm going through the book. Like right now, I'm in the planning process, the planning stages, and this book is helpful. Chapter 7 is more of a I need to stop saying Chapter 7 is more of a textbook. It's more like a lecture than anything else. It will be very helpful if you have the book on hand. It's 60 pages. It's a read. It's 60 pages. It's really helpful. Some of it, you have to remember the book was written in 1937. So some of it is a little bit obsolete, but it's still extremely helpful. So I was thinking, do I do 20 pages today and then stretch it over 2 days, or 30 pages today, 30 pages next week? I'm going to do the 30 because a lot of it is, it's not full pages, it's bullet point type stuff. Basically telling you how to write resumes, how to behave in the workplace. Just real simple stuff that a lot of people, that it goes over a lot of people's head, or, just weren't taught. Some of the stuff I never even thought of, and I started doing it. And but it wasn't from this book. It was from, what book was that? The Compound Effect. I started doing everything. The Compound Effect and how I changed my life through sales. This one. Hold on, let me show you. If I can get it from my bookshelf. I should have had this out. Okay, this is a good book. How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling. It's a good read. It's 9:58. We'll get started in 2 minutes. It's been a long day. I'm drinking green tea to keep my juices flowing. Woo. All right. Chapter 7, the 6th step towards success of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. We'll be reading the first half today and the second half next week. And oh, by the way, I am in a different, I'm not on my little reading palette. I'm at the desk today. I needed to be at the desk today. I don't need to be too comfortable today. I think, yeah. So we in here. Chapter 7, page 147. Let me go back. Page 147, Organized Planning, the Crystallization of Desire into Action. The 6th step toward riches. It is 10 o'clock on the dot. This is Chantrelle Club. I am yours truly, Chantrelle Lashae. This place is not for entertainment. It is for adult minds only. It is for people who want to grow from the inside out and desire riches. It is an example of my life being transformed from this to a billionaire. You will watch it grow along with me. We will be reading chapter 7, page 147 of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. We'll be reading the first half today, next half next week. Let's get started. Success requires no explanations. Failure permits no alibis. You have learned that every man creates or acquires. You have learned that everything man creates or acquires begin in the form of desire. That desire is taken on the first lap of its journey, from the abstract to the concrete, into the workshop of the imagination, where plans for its transition are created and organized. In Chapter 2, you were instructed to take 6 definite practical steps as your first move in translating the desire for money into its monetary equivalent. One of these steps is the formation of a definite practical plan or plans through which this transformation may be made. You will now be instructed how to build plans which will be practical. Alright, so like I said, this chapter is instructions basically. So get your pen and pencil or your highlighter. Hopefully you have the book. If you don't, copy and paste. I guess that's easy too. Alright, page 147, A, letter A. Ally yourself with a group of as many people as you may need for the creation and carrying out of your plan or plans for the accumulation of money, making use of the mastermind principle described in a later chapter. Compliance with this instruction is absolutely essential. Do not neglect it. Letter B. Before forming your mastermind alliance, decide what advantages and benefits you may offer the individual members of your group in return for their cooperation. No one will work indefinitely without some form of compensation. No intelligent person will either request or expect another to work without adequate compensation, although this may not always be in the form of money. Excuse me. This is actually what I'm on right now. Letter A is forming a Chantrelle Club is a mastermind for Think and Grow Rich. You know, now I'm in the process of forming a mastermind for my own dreams. But it's kind of strange because, you know, even though that step I haven't gotten to that point, I'm like, okay, I'll get there, and I just keep, writing out my plans and stuff. And strangely enough, the people that I need, they'll come to me, just like in every other situation. The resources that I need, if I just plan like I already have them, then they'll eventually just come. It's some crazy shit. It'd be kind of bizarre how it happens. It's so bizarre that you just kind of like, you're humble, you're cool, you're shocked, you're not shocked. It's bizarre. All right, let's keep it moving. We got 30 pages in. C. Arrange to meet with the members of your mastermind group at least twice a week and more often if possible until you have jointly perfected the necessary plan or plans for the accumulation of money. D. Maintain perfect harmony. That's in all capital letters. Maintain perfect harmony. Drama-free. Maintain perfect harmony between yourself and every member in your mastermind group. If you fail to carry out this instruction to the letter, you may expect to meet with failure. The mastermind principle cannot obtain where perfect harmony does not prevail. Keep in mind these facts. First, you are engaged in an undertaking of major importance to you. To be sure of success, you must have plans which are faultless. To be sure of success, you must have plans which are faultless. Second, you must have the advantage of the experience, education, native ability, and imagination of other minds. This is in harmony with the methods followed by every person who has accumulated a great fortune. And the second one is like, okay, so how do I find these people, who have the education and the experience that I need them to have? Whatever I lack that I need, how do I find those people? You just keep planning like you already have them, and they'll come. And I'm really talking to myself when I'm saying this stuff, because these are the thoughts that I'm having, I'm planning, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I know I'm not planning for nothing. I know how this goes. I know I just need to have faith. I just keep planning, and the resources will come. Yeah. Okay. All right. No individual, oh, this is the last paragraph, page 148. No individual has sufficient experience, education, native ability, and knowledge to ensure the accumulation of a great fortune without the cooperation of other people. Basically, you can't do it by yourself. Every plan you adopt in your endeavor to accumulate wealth should be a joint creation of yourself and every other member of your mastermind group. You may originate your own plans, either in whole or in part, but see that those plans are checked and approved by the members of your mastermind alliance. If the first plan which you adopt does not work successfully, replace it with a new plan. If this plan fails to work, replace it in turn with still another, and so on, until you find the plan that does work. Okay, I'm going to read that again. If the first plan which you adopt does not work successfully, replace it with a new plan. I'm telling myself this because where I was messing up at is I kept using the same plan over and over, calling that persistence. Saying, oh, I'm persistent. It's bound to work because I'll keep trying until it works. No. Thank you. Close my door. Love you kindly. Nuh-uh. I'm doing my book club, Papa. Come give me a kiss. Say hey. Okay. Mommy doing her book club. Close the door. Thank you. No. Not with you in here. Go in there with Bubby. Thank you. Bloopers. Okay. What was I saying? Okay. So where I was messing up at with planning was I was doing the same plan over and over instead of adopting a new plan. And then when that one doesn't work, adopt a new plan. So this meant a lot. It pertains to persistence as well as adopting new plans. Persistence is insanity if you're doing the same thing over and over. And I had to learn that the hard way. So I'm going to read that again. If the first plan which you adopt does not work successfully, replace it with a new plan. If this new plan fails to work, replace it in turn with another, and so on until you find a plan which does work. Right here is the point at which the majority of men meet with failure because of their lack of persistence in creating new plans to take the place of those which fail. The most intelligent man living cannot succeed in accumulating money, nor in any other undertaking, without plans which are practical and workable. Just keep this fact in mind, and remember when your plans fail, that temporary defeat is not permanent failure. It may only mean that your plans have not been sound. Build other plans. Start all over again. Thomas A. Edison failed 10,000 times before he perfected the incandescent, I got it on the first try, electric light bulb. That is, he met with temporary defeat 10,000 times before his efforts were crowned with success. It lives on today. I always wonder, so how do you know it's 10,000? Did he document that or something? I'm just saying. Temporary defeat should mean only one thing. The certain knowledge that there is something wrong with your plan. One more time. Temporary defeat, aka failure, should mean only one thing. The certain knowledge that there is something wrong with your plan. Millions of men go through life in misery and poverty because they lack a sound plan through which to accumulate a fortune. Henry Ford accumulated a fortune not because of his superior mind, but because he adopted and followed a plan which proved to be sound. Excuse me again. 1,000 men could be pointed out, each with a better education than Ford's, yet each of them who lives in poverty because he does not possess the right plan for the accumulation of money. Your achievement can be no greater than your plans are sound. One more time for the one time. Your achievement can be no greater than your plans are sound. That may seem to be an axiomatic statement. I practiced that one too. That may seem to be an axiomatic statement, but it is true. Samuel Insull lost his fortunes of over $100 million. The Insull fortune was built on plans which were sound. The business depression forced Mr. Insull to change his plans, and the change brought temporary defeat because his new plans were not sound. Mr. Insull is now an old man. He may consequently accept failure instead of temporary defeat. But if his experience turns out to be failure, it will be for the reason that he lacks the fire of persistence to rebuild his plans. No man is ever whipped until he quits in his own mind. One more time. No man is ever whipped until he quits in his own mind. This fact will be repeated many times because it is so easy to take the count at the first sign of defeat. James J. Hill met with temporary defeat when he first endeavored to raise the necessary capital to build a railroad from the east to the west, but he too turned defeat into victory through new plans. Henry Ford met with temporary defeat, not only at the beginning of his automobile career, but after he had gone far toward the top. He created new plans and went marching on to financial victory. This is just speaking to my soul. It's when you read it out loud, it just does something, because it's like there is no such thing as failure. It's just temporary defeats. Temporary defeat until you figure out a plan that works. It can be the same goal, keep the same goal, just a different plan to get to that goal. Or maybe you need to have a new goal. Or if it's something that you truly desire, don't give up on it. And just come up with a sound plan. I don't know, it just all seems so simple, It just really seems simple. Just doing it. Just doing it and having faith and being persistent. That's really it. Doing it, though. That's the part. Like, we all know we have to eat healthy and work out to have a lean, mean body machine. We all know that shit. But about 20% do it, It's simple. Success is simple, not easy. All right. Top of page 151. We see men who have accumulated great fortunes, but we often recognize only their triumph, overlooking the temporary defeats which they had to surmount before arriving. No follower of this philosophy can reasonably expect to accumulate a fortune without experiencing temporary defeat. That is in all capital letters, so clearly I need to read that a little bit louder and one more time. No follower of this philosophy can reasonably expect to accumulate a fortune without experiencing temporary defeat. One more time, Chantrelle. This one for me. No follower of this philosophy can reasonably expect to accumulate a fortune without experiencing temporary defeat. When defeat comes, accept it as a signal that your plans are not sound. Rebuild those plans and set sail once more toward your coveted goal. Now, I don't know if I'm overly, I can't even think of the word, optimistic, but I believe that what you believe is what will happen. If you have a sound plan, if you in close connection with God, you could hit it off on your first try. I don't believe in the impossible. I'm not saying, I don't know. That statement is good. It's also unbiased. That's all I say. I'm going to read it one more time. No follower of this philosophy can reasonably expect to accumulate a fortune without experiencing temporary defeat. When defeat comes, accept it as a signal that your plans are not sound. Rebuild those plans and set sail once more toward your coveted goal. If you give up before your goal has been reached, you are a quitter. If you give up before your goal has been reached, ladies and gents, you are a quitter. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. I am getting that custom on a what you call those? The license plates. I'm gonna get it on my little front license plates thing. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. Lift this sentence out, write it on a piece of paper in letters an inch high, and place it where you will see it every night before you go to sleep and every morning before you go to bed, which is what I meant to do. Oh, shit. Whoops. Sorry, YouTube. Okay. I have to do that. Okay. Place it where you will see it every night before you go to sleep and every morning before you go to work. When you begin to select members of your mastermind group, endeavor to select... Oh, live video has stopped. There was an error. What? Hold up. Wait a minute. Really, Facebook? How y'all gonna do me like that, bruh? That is so messed up. Just right in the middle of my live video. YouTube technical difficulties. Now I have to break it up. You know what? They're trifling. But I'm not mad. It's free. You know, when shit is free, you gotta accept it. I can't be mad at nobody. I am streaming free. So, I will take my free streaming ass and go live again. 1 second, YouTube. Hold up 1 second. Okay, there we go. We back. Facebook, I don't know what just happened, but we back. Technical difficulties. That's what happens when you don't have to pay for stuff. Okay. Chantrelle Club, where are we? I don't know. Okay. Second to last paragraph, page 151. When you begin to select members for your mastermind group, endeavor to select those who do not take defeat seriously. Some people foolishly believe that only money can make money. This is not true. Desire, transmuted into its monetary equivalent through the principles laid down here, is the agency through which money is made. And you know, this one hit me a little bit because I remember back when I was like 18, I was telling my mom, I need money to be able to make this money out here. I gotta get some money and blah blah blah. And she was like, Trell, you don't need money. God will bless you with people. All you need is God. He'll bless you with the people that you need and the resources that you need. You don't have to get money to make money. And I was like, that's bullshit. But okay, Ma, that's what I mean, you know, that's what I'm thinking. But she was stating facts. Mom's always right. It'd be hard to admit it, but she was right. She was all the way right. Alright, I done lost my spot again. Alright. Some people foolishly believe that only money can make money. That this is not true. Desire, transmuted into its monetary equivalent through the principles laid down here, is the agency through which money is made. Money of itself is nothing but inert matter. It cannot move, think, or talk, but it can hear when a man who desires it calls it to come. All right. So now this is where we're about to get into basically a textbook, like rules, notes for whatever profession that you're in. Sorry, I need to speak adequately. So let's go. So this one is, we're at the bottom of page 151. This one is planning the sale of services. The remainder of this chapter has been given over to a description of ways and means of marketing personal services. So that's what the remainder of this chapter will be. The information here conveyed will be of practical help to any person having any form of personal services to market, but it will be of priceless benefit to those who aspire to leadership in their chosen occupations. Intelligent planning is essential for success in any undertaking designed to accumulate riches. Here will be found detailed instructions to those who must begin the accumulation of riches by selling personal services. It should be encouraging to know that practically all the great fortunes began in the form of compensation for personal services or from the sale of ideas. What else except ideas and personal services would one not possessed of property have to give in return for riches? Facts. Either personal services or ideas. Broadly, well, I can't even agree with that one now because it's 2019. People out here drop shipping, don't own nothing except a Wix website, so like I said, 1937. So just keep that in mind. It's a lot of golden nuggets in here. So it's definitely worth reading. It should be encouraging to know that practically all the great fortunes began in the form of compensation for personal services or from the sale of ideas. What else except ideas and personal services would one not possess of property have to give in return for riches? Broadly speaking, there are two types of people in this world. One type is leaders, and the other as followers. Decide at the outset whether you intend to become a leader in your chosen calling or remain a follower. The difference in compensation is vast. The follower cannot reasonably expect the compensation to which a leader is entitled, although many followers make the mistake of expecting such pay. It is no disgrace to be a follower. On the other hand, it is no credit to remain a follower. Most great leaders began in the capacity of followers. They became great leaders because they were intelligent followers. With few exceptions, the man who cannot follow a leader intelligently cannot become an efficient leader. The man who can follow a leader most efficiently is usually the man who develops into leadership most rapidly. An intelligent follower has many advantages, among them the opportunity to acquire knowledge from his leader. The major attributes of leadership. Tea time. Ooh, that was life. All right. The major attributes of leadership. The following are important factors of leadership. Number 1, unwavering courage. Based upon knowledge of self and of one's occupation. No follower wishes to be dominated by a leader who lacks self-confidence and courage. No intelligent follower will be dominated by such a leader very long. Number 2, self-control. The man who cannot control himself can never control others. Self-control sets a mighty example for one's followers, which the more intelligent will emulate. 3, a keen sense of justice. Without a sense of fairness and justice, no leader can command and retain the respect of his followers. 4, definiteness of decision. The man who wavers in his decisions shows that he is not sure of himself. He cannot lead others successfully. 5. Definiteness of plans. The successful leader must plan his work and work his plan. One more time for the one time. The successful leader must plan his work and work his plan. Chantrelle, plan your work and also work your plan. Don't stop at planning your work. Work your fucking plan. Y'all hear my kids in the background and I'm cursing. Pardon me. All right, lots of bloopers on this one. Apologies. All right, back to it. A leader who moves by guesswork without practical, definite plans is comparable to a ship without a rudder. I don't know if it was rudder or rudder. Sooner or later, he will land on the rocks. Number 6, the habit of doing more than paid for. One of the penalties of leadership is the necessity of willingness upon the part of the leader to do more than he requires of his followers. Number 7, a pleasing personality. No slovenly, careless person can become a successful leader. Leadership calls for respect. Followers will not respect a leader who does not grade high on all of the factors of a pleasing personality. Number 8, sympathy and understanding. The successful leader must be in sympathy with his followers. Moreover, he must understand them and their problems. Number 9, mastery of detail. Successful leadership calls for mastery of details of the leader's position. Basically, know your job and know it well. Number 10, willingness to assume full responsibility. The successful leader must be willing to assume responsibility for the mistakes and the shortcomings of his followers. If he tries to shift this responsibility, he will not remain the leader. If one of his followers makes a mistake and shows himself incompetent, the leader must consider that it is he who failed. Number 11, cooperation. The successful leader must understand and apply the principle of cooperative effort and be able to induce his followers to do the same. Leadership calls for power, and power calls for cooperation. Page 155, Think and Grow Rich, Chapter 7, Part 1. Okay, we're still here. There are 2 forms of leadership. The first, and by far the most effective, is leadership by consent of and with the sympathy of the followers. The second is leadership by force, without the consent and sympathy of the followers. History is filled with evidences that leadership by force cannot endure. The downfall and disappearance of dictators and kings is significant. It means that people will not follow forced leadership indefinitely. Watch out, North Korea. Is that North Korea? Kim Jong-un? Kim Jong-un? Kim? Don't give me a line. Apologies. I don't keep up with social politics, which is a flaw that I am working on. Not really, though. But I should. Oh, well. Where am I at? Okay. The world has just entered a new era of relationship between leaders and followers, which very clearly calls for new leaders and a new brand of leadership in business and industry. Those who belong to the old school of leadership by force must acquire an understanding of the new brand of leadership, cooperation, or be relegated to the rank and file of the followers. There is no other way out for them. The relationship of employer and employee, or of leader and follower in the future, will be one of mutual cooperation, based upon an equitable division of the profits of business. In the future, the relationship of employer and employee will be more like a partnership than it has been in the past. Napoleon, Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany, I forgot what this word is. I forget. Czar, that guy of Russia. And I think it's Caesar, to be honest. It is Caesar. Oh, I just looked real slow just now. My bad. Is it Caesar? It makes sense. Czar. The Caesar of Russia and the King of Spain were examples of leadership by force. Their leadership passed without much difficulty. One might point to the prototypes of these ex-leaders among the business, financial, and labor leaders of America who have been dethroned or slated to go. 156. Leadership by consent of the followers is the only brand which can endure. Men may follow the forced leadership temporarily, but they will not do so willingly. The new brand of leadership will embrace the 11 factors of leadership described in this chapter, as well as some other factors. The men who make these the basis of his leadership will find abundant opportunity to lead in any walk of life. The Depression was prolonged largely because the world lacked leadership of the new brand. At the end of the Depression, the demand for leaders who are competent to apply a new let me do that again. At the end of the Depression, the demand for leaders who are competent to apply the new methods of leadership has greatly exceeded the supply. Some of the old type of leaders will reform and adapt themselves to the new brand of leadership, but generally speaking, the world will have to look for new timber for its leadership. This necessity may be your opportunity. The 10 major causes of failure in leadership. So we just read the 11 major causes of success in leadership. Now I'm going to read the 10 major causes of failure in leadership. It's good to know both. We come now to the major faults of leaders who fail because it is just as essential to know what not to do as it is to know what to do. Number 1, inability to organize details. Efficient leadership calls for ability to organize and to master details. No genuine leader is ever too busy to do anything which may be required of him in his capacity as leader. When a man, whether he is a leader or a follower, admits that he is too busy to change his plans or to give attention to any emergency, he admits his inefficiency. The successful leader must be the master of all details connected with his position. That means, of course, that he must acquire the habit of relegating. I keep thinking it's regulating, but it says relegating. The habit of relegating details to capable lieutenants. Or I'm thinking relegating like delegate. Okay. Number 2, unwillingness to render humble service. Truly, great leaders are willing, when occasion demands, to perform any sort of labor which they would ask another to perform. The greatest among ye shall be the servant of all, is a truth which all able leaders observe and respect. Number 3, expectation of pay for what they know instead of what they do with that which they know. The world does not pay men for that which they know. It pays them for what they do or induce others to do. Number 4, fear of competition from followers. The leader who fears that one of his followers may take his position is practically sure to realize that fear sooner or later. The able leader trains understudies to whom he may delegate at will any of the details of his position. Only in this way may a leader multiply himself and prepare himself to be at many places and give attention to many things at one time. Kind of like Olivia Pope, you know? She just taught everybody everything. Kind of like Olivia Pope, if y'all team Olivia Pope, because I am. I don't really know what that last episode was about. It was trash, but ooh, okay. It is an eternal truth that men receive more pay for their ability to get others to perform than they could possibly earn by their own efforts. An efficient leader may, through his knowledge of his job and the magnetism of his personality, greatly increase the efficiency of others and induce them to render more service and better service than they could render without his aid. Number 5, lack of imagination. Without imagination, the leader is incapable of meeting emergencies and of creating plans which to guide his followers efficiently. Number 6, selfishness. The leader who claims all the honor for his work of his followers is sure to be met by resentment. The really great leader claims none of the honors. He is contented to see the honors when there are any go to his followers, because he knows that most men will work harder for commendation and recognition than they will for money alone. Number 7, intemperance. This is water, by the way. I just felt the need to say that. Intemperance. Followers do not respect an intemperate leader. Moreover, intemperance in any of its various forms destroys the endurance and the vitality of all who indulge in it. So if you have a temper, get rid of it. Disloyalty. Perhaps this should have been at the head of the list. The leader who is not loyal to his trust and to his associates, those above him and those below him, cannot long maintain his leadership. Disloyalty marks one as being less than the dust of the earth, and brings down on his own head the contempt he deserves. Lack of loyalty is one of the major causes of failure in every walk of life. Okay. Number 9, emphasis of the authority of leadership. The efficient leader leads by encouraging and not by trying to instill fear in the hearts of his followers. The leader who tries to impress his followers with his authority comes within the category of leadership through force. If a leader is a real leader, he will have no need to advertise the fact except by his conduct, his sympathy, understanding, fairness, and a demonstration that he knows his job. Number 10, emphasis of title. The competent leader requires no title to give him the respect of his followers. The man who makes too much over his title generally has little else to emphasize. The doors to the office of a real leader are open to all who wish to enter, and his working quarters are free from formality or ostentation. These are among the more common of the causes of failure in leadership. Any one of these faults is sufficient to induce failure. Study the list carefully if you aspire to leadership, and make sure that you are free of these faults. I studied it. I have 2 that I'm working on, but I'm too ashamed to admit what they are. So I'll keep on. Okay, no, I'm not. So it's number 1, inability to organize details, and number 4, fear of competition from followers. Those are the 2 I must work on in order to be an efficient leader. I have to learn how to organize shit. I'm still working on it. I think the fear of competition from followers, that's just human nature. It's just something that you get over once you reach your goal. I mean, for me anyway. I don't have any followers at the moment. I think I have like 25 on Instagram, though. I need to stop joking. We have a lot to read. All right. Let's see. Bottom of page 159. And you know, your words are powerful, so I won't say that I don't have any followers. I do have great followers. And I'm a great leader. I'm an amazing leader. And I'm working on the skills that needs to be worked on. Now, okay. Some fertile fields in which new leadership will be required. So now we're getting into the different recommendations, recommendations or different opportunities that one can have when it comes to success. Just different ideas that run across your mind. Some of it is helpful, some of it doesn't help at all, but you really have to read all of it so that you get what you need to get from this part or this part. You know, you don't know what you need until you need it. Okay. Before leaving this chapter, your attention is called to a few of the fertile fields in which there has been a decline of leadership and in which the new type of leader may find an abundance of opportunity. First, in the field of politics, there is a most insistent demand for new leaders. And this was written in 37. This is still a fact. A demand which indicates nothing less than an emergency. The majority of politicians have seemingly become high-grade, legalized racketeers. They have increased taxes and debauched the machinery of industry and business until the people can no longer stand the burden. Second, the banking business is undergoing a reform. The leaders in this field have almost entirely lost the confidence of the public. Already the bankers have sensed the need of reform, and they have begun it. Third, industry calls for new leaders. The old type of leaders thought and moved in terms of dividends instead of thinking and moving in terms of human equations. The future leader in industry to endure must regard himself as a quasi-public official, got it right the first time, whose duty it is to manage his trust in such a way that it will work hardship on no individual or group of individuals. Exploitation of working men is a thing of the past. Let the man who aspires to leadership in the field of business, industry, and labor remember this. I'm just going to stop real quick because a few extra people joined. This is Chantrelle Club. We are reading Think and Grow Rich, currently on Chapter 7. It is 60 pages long, so we are splitting it up, half today, half next week. This club is not for entertainment. This is for dope minds only, so if you are here to grow, then this is the place for you. Otherwise, you got to go. Think and Grow Rich. What's up, bro? All right. Page 160. If you don't have the book, the link is in the description. And we are on chapter 7, page 160. And number 4. Okay. The religious leader of the future will be forced to give more attention to the temporal needs of his followers in the solution of their economic and personal problems of the present, and less attention to the dead past and the yet unborn future. That's still a fact, too. Fifth, in the professions of law, medicine, and education, a new brand of leadership and, to some extent, new leaders will become a necessity. This is especially true in the field of education. The leader in that field must, in the future, find ways and means of teaching people how to apply the knowledge they receive in school. He must deal more with the practice and less with theory. 6. New leaders will be required in the field of journalism. Newspapers of the future, to be conducted successfully, must be divorced from special privilege and relieved from the subsidy of advertising. They must cease to be organs of propaganda for the interests which patronize their advertising columns. The type of newspaper which publishes scandal and lewd pictures will eventually go the way of all forces which debauch the human mind. That's still a fact because we still have a lot of trash. These are but a few of the fields in which opportunities for new leaders and new brand of leadership are now available. The world is undergoing a rapid change. This means that the media through which the This means that the media through which the changes in human habits are promoted must be adapted to those changes. I'm going to read that one more time because listen to this. This means that the media through which the human no, I'm going to emphasize and not read it right. This means that the media through which the changes in human habits are promoted. Okay. This means the media through which the changes in human habits are promoted. Our habits, basically we get our habits from our media. I don't know, I don't know why it didn't kind of stick out at me when I was reading it earlier, but okay. Must be adapted to the changes. The media here described are the ones which, more than any others, determine the trend of civilization. Media controls civilization. I mean, I don't know why I'm acting like I'm just not figuring it out, but the media here described are the ones which, more than any others, determine the trend of civilization. Okay, so that was new leadership, or new leadership will be required. This chapter is more of a textbook type, just telling you different opportunities to become successful, just different places. So that was leadership opportunities. This one is when and how to apply for a position. So it's a lot of nice, handy stuff that is still helpful today, even though it was written in 1937, because some of this stuff is how I landed my job, honestly. Okay. The information described here is the net result of many years of experience during which thousands of men and women were helped to market their services effectively. It can, therefore, be relied upon as sound and practical. Media through which services may be marketed. Experience has proved that the following media offer the most direct and effective methods of bringing the buyer and seller of personal services together. Number 1, employment bureaus. Care must be taken to select only reputable bureaus, the management of which can show adequate records of achievement and satisfactory results. There are comparatively few such bureaus. So basically, this is an opportunity, an employment bureau. Basically, a company that review other companies for employment. I guess that it's some stuff out there like that right now. A little bit, but that's an opportunity. Number 2, advertising in newspapers, trade journals, magazines, and radio. Classified advertising may usually be relied upon to produce satisfactory results in the case of those who apply for clerical or ordinary salary positions. Display advertising is more desirable in the case of those who seek executive connections. The copy to appear in the section of the paper which is most apt to come to the attention of the class of employer being sought. The copy should be prepared by an expert who understands how to inject sufficient selling qualities to produce replies. Okay. That one's not for me. Number 3, personal letters of application directed to particular firm. This is a good one. Writing letters to companies, like if that's a job that you really want, or whatever it is that you're doing, a partner that you really want to work with in your business, a handwritten letter will get you so far. That's all. It will. I've handwritten some letters. I never got a response back, but I've also handwritten some letters where I've gotten great opportunities. Not $1 million ones yet, but you'll see. It'll be $1 million one soon. You'll know I'm a millionaire when my mama have her Jag. That's when you'll know. I won't have to say nothing else. That was random. Number 3, personal letters of application directed to particular firms or individuals most apt to need most apt to need such services as are being offered. Letters should be neatly typed, always, and signed by hand. Oh, I hand wrote mine. With the letter should be sent a complete brief or outline of the applicant's qualifications. Both the letter of application and the brief of experience or qualifications should be prepared by an expert. See instructions as to information to be supplied. I believe the instructions were in the back. Number 4, application through personal acquaintances. When possible, the applicant should endeavor to approach prospective employers through some mutual acquaintance. This method of approach is particularly advantageous in the case of those who seek executive connections and do not wish to appear to be peddling themselves. Number 5, application in person. In some instances, it may be more effective if the applicant offers personally his services to prospective employers, in which event a complete written statement of qualifications for the position should be presented, for the reason that prospective employers often wish to discuss with associates one's record. And number 1, I don't know what I was talking about. An employment bureau is like a temp agency. Tripping. It's late. I'm sorry. Okay. So those are different ways to apply to a position. This is 1937, so we also have online. But like when I apply online, I always make sure I do a cover letter. I always try to make sure I find whoever HR is. I'm going to Google it and I'm going to find who HR is. Most of the time you can find it on LinkedIn. And then I email HR as well. And if I don't find their email, I'll just do the cover letter, attention to HR. So it's been, of course you'll always need some type of experience, whether it's fact or fiction, because every job trains. But that's always helped me learn. The job I have now is a good job, and that's what helped me. All right. But we're not really on here trying to get jobs. It's more like a business thing. But it's everybody don't want the same thing. Some people don't want to own a business, Oh shit, Latoria Clay. Hey, Tori. Sorry, y'all. That's my best friend from 4th grade. Hey, Tori. Congrats on the baby. We're reading Think and Grow Rich. This is not for entertainment. It is for dope minds only, ladies and gents. Dope minds only. Not for entertainment. Okay. At the bottom of page 163, information to be supplied in a written brief. All right. Now it gets a little bit more descriptive. This brief should be prepared as carefully as a lawyer would prepare the brief of a case to be tried in court. Unless the applicant is experienced in the preparation of such briefs, an expert should be consulted and his services enlisted for this purpose. Successful merchants employ men and women who understand the art of the psychology of advertising to present the metrics of their merchandise. One who has personal services for sale should do the same. The following information should appear in the brief. 1. Education. State briefly but definitely what schooling you've had and in what subjects you specialize in school, given the reasons for that specialization. Number 2. Experience. If you have had experience in connection with positions similar to the one you seek, describe it fully. State names and addresses of former employers. Be sure to bring out clearly any special experience you may have had which would equip you to fill the position you seek. Number 3, references. Practically every business firm desires to know all about the previous records, anecdotes, etc. No, I don't think I said the anecdotes. It's not anecdotes. I don't know. Hopefully you're reading along. Of prospective employees who seek positions of responsibility. Attach to your brief photostatic copies of letters from former employers, teachers under whom you've studied, prominent people whose judgment may be relied upon. Number 4, photograph of self. Attach to your brief a recent unmounted photograph of yourself. Number 5, apply for a specific position. Avoid application for a position without describing exactly what the particular position you seek. Never apply for just a position. That indicates that you lack specialized qualifications. Number 6, state your qualifications for the particular position for which you apply. Give full details as to the reason you believe you are qualified for the particular position you seek. This is the most important detail of your application. It will determine, more than anything else, what consideration you receive. Number 7, offer to go to work on probation. In the majority of instances, you are determined to have the position for which you apply. In the majority of instances, if you are determined to have the position for which you apply, it will be most effective if you offer to work for a week or a month or for a sufficient length of time to enable your prospective employer to judge your value without pay. This may appear to be a radical suggestion, but experience has proved that it seldom fails to win at least a trial. If you are sure of your qualifications, a trial is all you need. Incidentally, such an offer indicates that you have confidence in your ability to fill the position you seek. It is most convincing. If your offer is accepted and you make good, more than likely you will be paid for your probation period. Make clear the fact that your offer is based upon your confidence in your ability to fill the position, your confidence in your prospective employer's decision to employ you after trial, and your determination to have the position you seek. Now for this, I'm really not going for a job, but this is also, if you want to start your own business, or if you're selling services, then do this to yourself. This will determine, am I really capable of doing what I say I want to do? Do I have the qualifications to sell this product or to be this artist or to do this for yourself? It helps more than just for a job. If you're trying to go out on your own, or if you're trying to find a business partner, do it for yourself and see, how legit you really are. That'll build your confidence, and confidence is key. And it'll also show you where your weaknesses are and what you need to improve on. And I'm talking to myself. I need to do this for myself. Oh man, I lost my page. Crap. Oh, okay. 165, bottom of page 165, number 8. Knowledge of your prospective employer's business. Before applying for a position, do sufficient research in connection with the business to familiarize yourself thoroughly with that business and indicate in your brief the knowledge you have acquired in this field. This will be impressive, as it will indicate that you have imagination and a real interest in the position you seek. Remember that it is not the lawyer who knows the most law, but the one who best prepares his case who wins. If your case is properly prepared and presented, your victory will have been more than half won at the outset, which is a fact. Do not be afraid of making your brief too long. Employers are just as much interested in purchasing the services of well-qualified applicants as you are in securing employment. In fact, the success of most successful employers is due in the main to their ability to select well-qualified lieutenants. They want all the information available. Remember another thing. Neatness in the preparation of your brief will indicate that you are a painstaking person. I have helped to prepare briefs for clients which were so striking and out of the ordinary that they resulted in employment of the applicant without a personal interview. When your brief has been completed, have it neatly bound by an experienced binder and lettered by an artist, or printed similar to the following. Okay. So you can't, maybe you can see it. Hopefully you're reading along, but yeah, you can't see that. Maybe a little bit, but Basically, at the bottom of 166, it shows a little example. So this is basically telling you how to do a really dope ass resume. But not that basic stuff where you find a template on Google and, add your stuff in. It's, oh shit, Raven too? Hey, Raven! All my Wooka people? It's nice. Okay, let's keep it going. Okay, bottom of page 166. Change names each time the brief is shown. This personal touch is, so instead of saying, like, to whom it may concern, find the people name. This is 2019. You can find out somebody's name. Okay, change names each time the brief is shown. This personal touch is sure to command attention. Have your brief neatly typed or mimeographed on the finest paper you can obtain and bound with the heavy paper of the book cover variety, the binder to be changed, and the proper firm name to be inserted if it is to be shown to more than one company. Your photograph should be pasted on the pages of your brief. Follow these instructions to the letter, improving upon them wherever your imagination suggests. Successful salesmen groom themselves with care. They understand that first impressions are lasting. Your brief is your salesman. Give it a good suit of clothes so it will stand out in bold contrast to anything your prospective employer ever saw in the way of an application for a position. If the position you seek is worth having, it is worth going after with care. Moreover, if you sell yourself to an employer in a manner that impressed him with your individuality, you probably will receive more money for your services from the very start than you would if you applied for employment in the usual conventional way. If you seek employment through an advertising agency or an employment agency, have the agent use copies of your brief in marketing your services. This will help to gain preference for you, both with the agent and the prospective employers. So anybody who's really looking, for a better position, a better job, or a partnership. I'm just thinking in terms of a job, because that was the first thing they said in my interview when I started at the position I work at. And they were just like, wow, we basically hired you off of your application. Mine was laid out. I went through the, how they tell you when you look for the job and they have the description of all the qualifications and requirements and, everything you have to have. I basically retyped that up in bullet point. Every requirement they said, I answered it. I had all that shit typed up and ready to prepare. They had it before I even came. So it makes a really, really big difference. And it's not even, it's not that much hard work. It's just a little extra. How that man do it when he put the little salt on it? Whatever. Anyway. All right. We're at the bottom of 167. How to get the exact position you desire. Everyone enjoys doing the kind of work for which he is best suited. An artist loves to work with paints, a craftsman with his hands, a writer loves to write. Those with less definite talents have their preferences for certain fields of business and industry. If America does anything well, it offers a full range of occupations: tilling the soil, manufacturing, marketing, and the professions. First, decide exactly what kind of job you want. If the job doesn't already exist, perhaps you can create it. Second, choose the company or individual for whom you wish to work. Okay. Third, study your prospective employer as to policies, personnel, and chances of advancement. Fourth, by analysis of yourself, your talents, and capabilities, figure what you can offer and plan ways and means of giving advantages, services, deployments, ideas that you believe you can successfully deliver. Fifth, forget about a job. Forget whether or not there is an opening. Forget the usual routine of have you got a job for me. Concentrate on what you can give. 6. Once you have your plan in mind, arrange with an experienced writer to put it on paper in neat form and in full detail. 7. Present it to the proper person with authority, and he will do the rest. Every company is looking for men who can give something of value, whether it be ideas, services, or connections. Every company has room for the man who has a definite plan of action, which is to the advantage of the company. This line of procedure may take a few days or weeks of extra time, but the difference in income in advancement, and in gaining recognition will save years of hard work at small pay. It has many advantages, the main one being that it will often save from 1 to 5 years of time in reaching a chosen goal. Every person who starts or gets in halfway up the ladder does so by deliberately and careful planning, excepting, of course, the boss's son. That was funny. All right, the new way of marketing services. We're on page 169. Jobs are now partnerships. Men and women who market their services to best advantage in the future must recognize the stupendous change which has taken place in connection with the relationship between employer and employee. In the future, the golden rule, and not the rule of gold, will be the dominating factor in the marketing of merchandise as well as personal services. The future relationship between employers and their employees will be more in the nature of partnership, consisting of A, the employer, B, the employee, and C, the public they serve. This way of marketing personal services is called new for many reasons. First, both the employer and the employee of the future will be considered as fellow employees whose business it will serve. I'm just chopping this sentence all up. Let me read that again. Okay. This new way of marketing personal services is called new for many reasons. First, both the employer and the employee of the future will be considered as fellow employees whose business it will be to serve the public efficiently. That's a good argument. In times past, employers and employees have bartered among themselves, driving the best bargains they could with one another, not considering that the final analysis they were in reality bargaining at the expense of the third party, the public they served. The Depression served as a mighty protest from an injured public whose rights had been trampled upon in every direction by those who were clamoring for individual advantages and profits. When the debris of the Depression shall have been cleared away, and business shall have been once again restored to the balance, both employers and employees will recognize that they are no longer privileged to drive bargains at the expense of those whom they serve. The real employer of the future will be the public. This should be kept up. This is so true. This should be kept uppermost in mind by every person seeking to market personal services effectively. Nearly every railroad in America is in financial difficulty. Who does not remember the day when, if a citizen inquired at the ticket office a time of departure of a train, he was abruptly referred to the bulletin board instead of being politely given the information? The streetcar companies have experienced a change of times also. There was a time not so very long ago when streetcar conductors took pride in giving argument to passengers. Many of the streetcar tracks have been removed, and the passengers ride on the bus, whose driver is the last word in politeness. All over the country, streetcar tracks are rusting from abandonment or have been taken up. Wherever streetcars are still in operation, passengers may now ride without argument, and one may even hail the car in the middle of the block, and the motorman will obligingly pick him up. Basically, customer service is key. It's basically what all this is wrapped up into saying. New business is customer service. If you don't have it, then hopefully nobody else have what you have and have better customer service, because they take. Sorry, YouTube. They're taking all your business. Customer service is key. People like customer service. People like when people are nice to them. It's common sense. Just be nice. Even when you hate your fucking job, be nice while at the same time applying for another job or preparing your business plan to go out on your own. Just be nice. It's hard. I know it's hard. I know. But just be nice. It'll get you a lot of places. Just being nice. How times have changed. That is just the point I am trying to emphasize. Times have changed. Moreover, the change is reflected not merely in railroad offices and on streetcars, but in other walks of life as well. The public be damned policy is now passé. It has been supplanted by the we are obligingly at your service, sir policy. The bankers have learned a thing or two during this rapid change which has taken place during the past few years. Impoliteness on the part of a bank official or bank employee today is as rare as it was conspicuous. As it was conspicuous a dozen years ago. In the years past, some bankers, not all of them of course, carried an atmosphere of austerity which gave every would-be borrower a chill when he even thought of approaching his banker for a loan. The thousands of bank failures during the Depression has the effect of removing the mahogany doors behind which bankers formerly barricaded themselves. They now sit at desks in the open, where they may be seen and approached at will by a depositor or by anyone who wishes to see them, and the whole atmosphere of the bank is one of courtesy and understanding. It used to be customary for customers to have to stand and wait at the corner grocery until the clerks were through passing the time of day with friends at the proprietor and had finished making up his bank deposit before being waited upon. Chain stores, managed by courteous men who do everything in the way of service, short of shining the customer's shoes, have pushed the old-time merchants into the background. Time marches on. Courtesy and service are the watchwords of merchandising today, and apply to the person who is marketing personal services even more directly than the employer whom he serves, because in the final analysis, both the employer and his employees are employed by the public they serve. If they fail to serve well, they pay by the loss of their privilege of serving. We can all remember the time when the gas meter reader pounded on the door hard enough to break the panels. When the door was open, he pushed his way in, uninvited, with a scowl on his face, which plainly said, "What the hell did you keep me waiting for?" I don't even know what I should have Googled it. I don't even know what what is it called? Oh, a gas meter reader. I guess they read your gas meter, so never mind. I was about to say I don't know what that is. All that has undergone a change. The meterman now conducts himself as a gentleman who is delighted to be at your service, sir. Before the gas companies learned that their scowling metermen were accumulating liabilities never to be cleared away, the polite salesman of oil burners came along and did a land office business. During the Depression, I spent several months in the anthracite coal region of Pennsylvania, studying conditions which all but destroyed the coal industry. Among several very significant discoveries was the fact that greed on the part of the operators and their employers was the chief cause of the loss of business for the operators and the loss of jobs for miners. Through the pressure of a group of overzealous labor leaders representing the employees and the greed for profits on the part of the operators, the anthracite business suddenly dwindled. The coal operators and their employees drove sharp bargains with one another, adding the cost of bargaining to the price of coal, until finally they discovered they had built up a wonderful business for the manufacturers of oil-burning outfits and the producers of crude oil. The wages of sin is death. Many have read this in the Bible, but few have discovered its meaning. Now and for several years, the entire world has been listening by force to the sermon which might well be called, "Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." Nothing as widespread and effective as the Depression could possibly be just a coincidence. Behind the Depression was a cause. Nothing ever happens without a cause. In the main, the cause of the Depression is traceable directly to the worldwide habit of trying to reap without sowing. This should not be mistaken to mean that the Depression represents a crop which the world is being forced to reap without having sown. The trouble is that the world sowed the wrong sort of seed. Any farmer knows he cannot sow the seed of thistles and reap the harvest of grain. Beginning at the outbreak of the World War, the people of the world began to sow the seed of service inadequate in both quality and quantity. Nearly everyone was engaged in the pastime of trying to get without giving. These illustrations are brought to the attention of those who have personal services to market to show that we are where we are, and These illustrations are brought to the attention of those who have personal services to market to show that we are where we are and what we are because of our own conduct. If there is a principle of cause and effect which controls business, finance, and transportation, this same principle controls the individuals and determines their economic status. All right. We're going to go to 177. Okay. What is your QQS rating? The causes of success in marketing services effectively and permanently have been clearly described. Unless those causes are studied, analyzed, understood, and applied, no man can market his services effectively and permanently. Every person must be his own salesman of personal services. The quality and the quantity of service rendered and the spirit in which it is rendered determine to a large extent the price and the duration of employment. To market personal services effectively, which means a permanent market at a satisfactory price under pleasant conditions, one must adopt and follow the QQS formula, which means the quality plus quantity plus the proper spirit of cooperation equals perfect salesmanship of service. Remember the QQS formula, but do more. Apply it as a habit. Let us analyze the formula to make sure we understand exactly what it means. Number 1, quality. Quality of service shall be constructed to mean the performance of every detail in connection with your position in the most efficient manner possible, with the object of greater efficiency always in mind. Number 2, quantity. Quantity of service shall be understood to mean the habit of rendering all the service of which you are capable at all times, with the purpose of increasing the amount of service rendered as greater skill is developed through practice and experience. Emphasis is again placed on the word habit. Number 3, spirit. Spirit of service shall be constructed to mean the habit of agreeable, harmonious conduct which will induce cooperation for associates and fellow employees. Adequacy of quality and quantity of service is not sufficient to maintain a permanent market for your services. The conduct or the spirit in which you deliver service is a strong determining factor in connection with both the price you receive and the duration of employment. Andrew Carnegie stressed this point more than others in connection with his description of the factors which led to success in the marketing of personal services. He emphasized again and again the necessity of harmonious conduct. He stressed the fact that he would not retain any man, no matter how great a quantity or how efficient the quality of his work, unless he worked in a spirit of harmony. Mr. Carnegie insisted upon men being agreeable. To prove that he placed a high value upon this quality, he permitted many men who conformed to his standards to become very wealthy. Those who did not conform had to make room for others. The importance of a pleasing personality has been stressed because it is a factor which enables one to render service in the proper spirit. If one has a personality which pleases and renders service in a spirit of harmony, these assets often make up for deficiencies in both quality and the quantity of service one renders. Nothing, however, can be successfully substituted for pleasing conduct. That's a fact, man. Okay. The capital value of your services. The person whose income is derived entirely from the sale of personal services is no less a merchant than the man who sells commodities. And it might well be added, such a person is subjected to exactly the same rules of conduct as the merchant who sells merchandise. This has been emphasized because the majority of people who live by the sale of personal services make the mistake of considering themselves free from the rules of conduct and the responsibilities attached to those who are engaged in marketing commodities. The new way of marketing services has practically forced both employer and employee into partnership alliances, through which both take into consideration the rights of the third party, the public they serve. The day of the go-getter has passed. He has been supplanted by the go-giver. High-pressure methods in business finally blew the lid off. There will never be the need to put the lid back on, because in the future, business will be conducted by methods that will require no pressure. The actual capital value of your brains may be determined by the amount of income you can produce by marketing your services. A fair estimate of the capital value of your services may be made by multiplying your annual income by 16 2/3, as it is reasonable to estimate that your annual income represents 6% of your capital value. Money rents for 6% per annum. Money is worth no more than brains. It is often worth much less. Competent brains, if effectively marketed, represent a much more desirable form of capital than that which required to conduct a business dealing in commodities, because brains are a form of capital which cannot be permanently depreciated through depressions, nor can this form of capital be stolen or spent. Brains can't be stolen or spent. Moreover, the money which is essential for the conduct of business is as worthless as a sand dune until it has been mixed with efficient brains. Okay, we will stop right there. We're at the bottom of 177, but it goes into another section. This is still chapter 7, but it's chapter 7 is 60 pages. So we're not going to do all that tonight, because eventually my words will turn into jibber jabber. So next week will also be chapter 7. It will just be the second half of chapter 7, which would be pages 177 through 207. This was a very informative chapter. I hope it helped somebody or struck some type of an idea. or some type of belief that you can get that position, girl or boy or man, sorry, woman or man. You can do it, just take a little bit of creativity. Not even really experience, just creativity, how you present yourself. And after reading that again, I'm gonna go back and spruce my stuff up and do a little something too. But this has been a great night. A lot of people that I recognize joined, so that was nice. Thank you guys for coming on. I really hope that this club, I know that it's very beneficial for me. I hope that it's beneficial for others. And if it's not beneficial for you now, it's okay, because I have a goal for this club. This club is going to be me starting from here and going all the way up to where you can't even see my hand anymore. I will be a billionaire. You will see me start from right here and go to the top. So that's what this club is about. It's about me transforming my life and bringing any and everybody who wants to transform their life as well. And we can do this shit together. But if there are no other comments or questions or concerns, I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. This is Chantrelle Club. This is a place for dope minds only. This is not a place for entertainment. It's for anybody who want to be better, who want to do better, and not just say they want to be better, who wants to actually, do something. You can start by reading, because if your mind ain't right, nothing else really goes right anyway. This is Chantrelle Lashae. This is the Chantrelle Club. We are in here. It's Tuesday night. It's 11:27 p.m. That was a whole hour and a half read. We made it through it. That really would have been 3 hours, but in no way will I do that to myself or to others. So next week, it will still be Chapter 7. It will just be the second half of Chapter 7. If you missed it, you can go back to the replay. Facebook wanted to do some mess and interrupted my video right in the middle, so now it's 2 Facebook live videos, which is now, and then it's going to be 3 for this one because next week. But anyway, thank y'all for watching. Visit my website, Chantrelle Lashae. I do a lot of vlogs. I don't post them on anywhere else other than my website. But if you fuck with me like that, go and watch my vlogs. That'll be nice to see some views other than my own. Either way, I love y'all. And I love me. And I love Chantrelle Club. And I love Napoleon Hill for Write and Think and Grow Rich. For dope minds only, baby. Chantrelle Lashae, over and out.